Fake HOA accused black firefighter of loitering. He was assessing fire risk zones. The sun hung high over Willow Creek, casting a warm glow on the manicured lawns and cookie-cutter houses of the suburban enclave. Marcus Hayes, a 38-year-old firefighter with a chiseled jaw and steady gaze, walked the quiet streets with a clipboard in hand. His casual jacket did little to hide the quiet strength in his broad shoulders, honed from years of carrying hoses and breaking down doors to save lives. Today, though, his mission was preventative, assessing fire risk zones after a string of wildfires had scorched nearby towns. Every hydrant, every overgrown shrub, every poorly placed propane tank was a potential threat to the community he'd sworn to protect. Marcus paused by a fire hydrant, jotting notes about its pressure levels. He didn't notice Karen Mitchell watching him from her porch across the street. At 52, Karen was the self-proclaimed queen of Willow Creek's Homeowners Association, or so she claimed. Her sharp eyes, framed by platinum blonde hair, narrowed as she studied Marcus. To her, he didn't belong. His purposeful stride, his black skin, his lack of a flashy car parked nearby, it all screamed outsider. Karen's world was one of snap judgments, where appearances trumped truth, and she prided herself on keeping Willow Creek in order. Who's that loitering?" she muttered, grabbing her phone. Without a second thought, she hit record, her voice dripping with indignation. "Excuse me, sir. What are you doing here?" she called out, marching toward Marcus with the confidence of someone who believed she owned the street. Marcus looked up, startled but composed. "Ma'am, I'm with the fire department. I'm checking fire risks to keep the neighborhood safe." Karen scoffed, her phone still rolling. "Fire department? You don't look like a firefighter. Where's your uniform? Your truck? I know everyone in this town, and I've never seen you." Her tone was accusatory, her words laced with venom. To her, Marcus was a threat, a stranger who needed to be put in his place. "I'm off duty, ma'am," Marcus said calmly, holding up his clipboard. "This is part of my job. I'm making sure your homes don't burn down." But Karen wasn't listening. She was already crafting a narrative in her head, one where she was the hero protecting her pristine community from an intruder. "You're trespassing," she snapped, stepping closer. "I'm calling the police unless you leave right now." A few neighbors peeked out from their windows, drawn by the commotion. Marcus sighed, his jaw tightening. He'd faced this before. Suspicion, distrust, the assumption that he didn't belong, but he refused to let it shake him. "Ma'am, I'm just doing my job. Call whoever you need to. I'm not going anywhere until I finish." Karen's face reddened. How dare he defy her? She uploaded the video to the neighborhood's social media group, captioning it, "Caught this man loitering in Willow Creek. Says he's a firefighter, but no proof. HOA is handling it." Within minutes, the post exploded. Comments poured in, some echoing Karen's outrage, others questioning her rush to judgment. By evening, the video had spread beyond Willow Creek, racking up thousands of views on X and igniting a firestorm of its own. The next morning, Willow Creek was buzzing, not with pride, but with fury. The local news had picked up the story, revealing the truth. Marcus Hayes was a decorated firefighter who'd saved countless lives, including during the devastating Oak Ridge fire 2 years prior. His loitering was a selfless act to protect the very community that now vilified him. Worse, Karen's HOA was a sham. Public records showed no official homeowners association in Willow Creek. Karen had fabricated her authority, lording it over neighbors for years with threats of fines and rules she'd invented. The backlash was swift and merciless. Ex-users tore into Karen, calling her out for racial profiling and abusing her self-appointed power. Hashtags like Justice for Marcus and Karen of Willow Creek trended nationwide. Protesters gathered outside her house holding signs that read, "Honor our heroes and end bias now." Local businesses banned her, and her employer, a real estate firm, suspended her pending an investigation. Karen's carefully curated life unraveled faster than she could process. Inside her house, Karen sat alone, scrolling through the hate-filled messages flooding her inbox. Her phone buzzed incessantly with notifications, each one a reminder of her fall from grace. She'd always believed she was right, that her vigilance kept Willow Creek perfect. But now, staring at the viral video of her own venomous words, she felt something she hadn't in years: shame. Marcus, meanwhile, tried to stay above the fray. He didn't want the attention, didn't need the apologies pouring in from strangers. His focus remained on his work, saving lives, not settling scores. But the incident had struck a nerve, exposing the raw underbelly of prejudice in a town that prided itself on unity. As the controversy raged, Marcus received a call from the mayor, asking him to speak at a town hall to address the growing unrest. Reluctantly, he agreed, knowing his words could either heal or inflame. The town hall was packed to the brim, a sea of faces reflecting every emotion from anger to curiosity. Willow Creek hadn't seen a gathering like this since the Oak Ridge fire, when Marcus had led a team through choking smoke to save a family trapped in their home. Now he stood at the podium, his firefighter's badge glinting under the harsh fluorescent lights. His expression was calm but resolute, a man who'd faced worse fires than the one burning through the town's conscience. Outside, protesters chanted, their voices muffled but insistent, "Justice for Marcus! No more Karens!" News vans lined the street, their cameras trained on the building. The incident had become a national flashpoint, a stark reminder of how quickly prejudice could ignite division. Marcus cleared his throat, silencing the room. "I didn't come here for pity," he began, his voice steady. "I came to do my job, to keep this town safe. That's all I was doing when I was called a criminal for walking your streets." The crowd murmured, some nodding, others shifting uncomfortably. Marcus continued, his words cutting through the tension like a blade. "I've spent my life running into burning buildings, not away from them. But what hurts more than fire is being judged for who I am before I can even open my mouth. I'm not here to point fingers. I'm here to ask you to see people for what they do, not what you assume they are." His speech was brief but powerful, earning a standing ovation from most of the room. A few stayed seated, their arms crossed, clinging to their doubts. But Marcus didn't need their approval. He stepped down, shaking hands with supporters, his focus already back on the next fire risk assessment. He refused interviews, letting his actions speak louder than any soundbite. For Karen, the town hall was a nightmare she couldn't wake from. She hadn't dared attend, knowing the crowd would tear her apart. Instead, she watched the live stream from her darkened living room, curtains drawn to block out the protesters' signs. Each of Marcus's words felt like a hammer to her pride. She'd always seen herself as the gatekeeper of Willow Creek's perfection, but now she was its pariah. Her phone was silent. No calls from friends, no invitations to book club. Even her own sister had texted, "How could you, Karen? Fix this." The internet was relentless. Memes of her sneering face captioned "Karen of the Year" flooded X. A local artist painted a mural of Marcus inspecting a hydrant, with Karen's silhouette fading into the background, labeled "Prejudice." Her real estate firm fired her, citing conduct unbecoming. The county launched an investigation into her fake HOA, uncovering years of bullying neighbors with made-up fines. The legal threats piled up, but worse was the isolation. Karen, who thrived on control, had lost it all. Yet, in the quiet of her shame, something stirred. She replayed Marcus's speech, his dignity in the face of her venom. She thought of her own son, now grown, who'd once idolized firefighters. Had she become the kind of person he'd be ashamed of? For the first time, Karen didn't deflect blame. She sat with the weight of her actions, the ugliness of her assumptions laid bare. It was unbearable, but it was also a spark, one that could burn her down or forge something new. The next day, Karen did something unthinkable. She wrote a letter. Not a defensive screed, but an apology, raw and unpolished. "To Marcus Hayes," it began, "I was wrong. I judged you without knowing you, and I hurt you and our community. I have no excuse, but I want to make this right." She poured out her regret, admitting her fake HOA, her arrogance, her bias. It took hours, each word a battle against her pride. When she finished, her hands trembled, but she felt lighter, as if she'd shed a skin she'd outgrown. Karen knew a letter wasn't enough. She needed to face Marcus, to look him in the eye and own her mistake. She learned he'd be at the fire station, training recruits. Driving there, her heart pounded harder than it had during the protests. What if he rejected her? What if the town saw her groveling and mocked her more? But she parked, clutching the letter, and stepped into the station's open bay. Marcus was there, demonstrating a hose technique to a group of young firefighters. He saw Karen and paused, his face unreadable. The recruits whispered, recognizing her from the viral video. Karen swallowed, her voice barely above a whisper. "Mr. Hayes, can we talk? Please?" Marcus nodded, leading her to a quiet corner. The air was thick with tension, but his eyes held no malice, only a quiet strength that made Karen feel smaller than ever. She handed him the letter, her voice breaking. "I'm so sorry. I was wrong about you. About everything. I don't expect forgiveness, but I need you to know I'm trying to change." Marcus read the letter in silence, his expression softening. He looked at Karen, seeing not the woman who'd vilified him, but someone grappling with her own brokenness. "I appreciate this," he said finally. "It takes guts to own up. But this isn't just about me. It's about everyone you've judged, everyone you've hurt. Change isn't words. It's what you do next." Karen stood frozen, Marcus's words echoing in her mind. Change isn't words. It's what you do next. She nodded, tears welling up, but she didn't let them fall. "I want to do better," she said, her voice steadier now. "I don't know how, but I'm listening." Marcus studied her, his gaze piercing yet kind, like a man who'd seen too much pain to dismiss someone trying to rise from it. "Start with the truth," he said, "not just to me, but to everyone. That's where healing begins." That evening, Karen made a decision that would have been unthinkable a week ago. She requested to speak at the next town meeting, knowing it would be a crucible. The night arrived, and Willow Creek's community center was a powder keg of emotions. Neighbors filled the seats, some with arms crossed, others whispering about the Karen showdown. News cameras lined the back, ready to capture every word. Marcus sat near the front, not as a speaker, but as a quiet presence, his calm anchoring the room. Karen stepped to the podium, her hands trembling as she gripped her notes. The crowd's murmurs fell silent, replaced by a tense anticipation. She looked out at the sea of faces, some familiar, some now strangers, and took a deep breath. "My name is Karen Mitchell," she began, her voice cracking but resolute, "and I'm here to apologize, not just to Marcus Hayes, but to all of you." She laid it all bare, her fake HOA, her years of bullying neighbors with invented rules, her snap judgment of Marcus based on nothing but prejudice. "I thought I was protecting Willow Creek," she said, tears streaming down her face. "But I was tearing it apart. I saw a black man doing his job and assumed the worst. Because that's what I was taught to do, even if I didn't admit it. I was wrong, and I'm so sorry." The room was silent, the weight of her words sinking in. Some neighbors looked away, uncomfortable with their own complicity in her reign. Others leaned forward, seeing a woman unraveling her pride in real time. Karen turned to Marcus, her voice breaking. "Mr. Hayes, you're a hero. You risked your life for us, and I treated you like a threat. I don't deserve your forgiveness, but I'm grateful for your grace. I'm changing, because of you." Marcus met her gaze, his expression unreadable but soft. He nodded slightly, a gesture of acknowledgement, not absolution. The crowd erupted, some in applause, others in heated debate. A few shouted, "Too little, too late," while others defended her courage. The cameras rolled, capturing the raw, messy reckoning of a community confronting its flaws. Karen stepped down, her legs weak, but a strange peace settled over her. She'd faced the fire and survived, not unscathed, but transformed. As she left the podium, a young girl, Marcus's niece who'd been at the fire station, ran up and handed her a drawing of a firefighter saving a house. "Uncle Marcus says everyone can learn," the girl said shyly. Karen clutched the drawing, her heart cracking open in a way it never had before. In the weeks that followed, Willow Creek began to heal. The town dissolved Karen's fake HOA, replacing it with a legitimate, inclusive council. Marcus's fire risk assessments led to new safety measures, earning him a commendation from the county. The mural of him inspecting the hydrant became a local landmark, a reminder of resilience and redemption. Posts on X shifted from outrage to stories of unity, with Rostron Honor Our Heroes trending as people shared tales of firefighters' unsung work. Karen didn't return to her old life. She couldn't. Her reputation was in tatters, and the legal fallout from her fake HOA lingered. But she didn't run. She volunteered at the fire station, cleaning equipment and organizing fundraisers, earning wary but growing respect from the crew. She attended community workshops on bias, listening more than speaking, absorbing the perspectives she'd once dismissed. Her arrogance was gone, replaced by a quiet humility that surprised even her. One day, as Karen sorted supplies at the station, Marcus approached her. "You're still here," he said, a hint of a smile in his voice. Karen looked up, nervous. "I meant what I said. I want to make things right." Marcus nodded, handing her a stack of safety pamphlets. "Then keep going. You're not done yet." It wasn't forgiveness, not fully, but it was trust, hard-earned and fragile, a seed planted in scorched earth. Karen took the pamphlets, her hands steady now. She thought of the girl's drawing, taped to her fridge, and the words Marcus had spoken at the town hall. See people for what they do. She vowed to live by that, to honor the heroes like Marcus, not with words, but with actions. Willow Creek wasn't perfect, but it was trying, and so was she. As spring bloomed, the town held a festival to celebrate its firefighters. Marcus led the parade, his niece waving from his shoulders. Karen watched from the crowd, no longer the queen of anything, but part of something bigger, a community learning to choose gratitude over judgment, kindness over fear. The air smelled of fresh grass and hope, and for the first time in a long time, Karen felt like she belonged. The end.